there's this school of thought that feels that if we need to stop those who tend to always loot the nation's treasury, we have to be more stringent. Punitive measures should be meted out as and when due. But the way things are, it looks as if we're just pandering to the winds, back and forth. In some crimes, you take public funds, no matter how tiny, there's a death sentence in some locations. In some other places, it's straight up jail. No court trial, nothing. You just go to jail. The fact that it's proven that you got public funds. How can we get out of this apparent or what looks as if we're just pandering back and forth?
I think other than China, I know of no other country where if you steal or loot public funds, you'll be sentenced to death. Most other crimes is a jail sentence. And in most other countries of the world, you go through a judicial process before you are convicted. Now, are we pandering or treating this with kid gloves? My view has always been that we have enough laws. That is one. But the problem we have is following these laws to the letter. Because there is an air of impunity in Nigeria that if you break any law or you do anything, you can get away with it. And indeed, a lot of people get away with it. And that's not because we do not have enough laws, or the laws do not impose stringent penalties for breaches of the law. But the major problem, in my view, is that we do not follow through on these laws. We do not prosecute enough. We are not diligent. So in developed societies, you can see somebody who committed a crime 30, 40 years ago, maybe because new evidence comes up, they go after him and they make sure he goes to jail, he serves the time. But in our society, there's this impunity people do get away. We see it every day. So
how does that work?
Sorry, sir. Immediately you leave the studio now, and I'm going on the road, and I'll see somebody driving against one-way traffic. He gets away with it. Sometimes you see policemen standing as this man drives past them, driving against traffic. You see keke maruas, you see motorcycle riders, you see vehicles at times. Sometimes you even see the policemen themselves driving against traffic. But we get away with it. So you see somebody, he rapes somebody, and then they tell you that the next thing is that the victims are not pressing charges, and the case is dropped. So it goes on, and that's the problem we have. We do not follow through on these things. We let people get away with practically everything.
When you say we do not follow through, that there's some who put the blame at the feet of the judiciary. Others will put it at the feet of the police. Where is that loophole, that weak point in the chain that helps us or that aids in not getting through with punishing those that need to be punished and commending those that need to be commended? Because it's both ways.
I think not one single party, the blame cannot be ascribed or laid at the feet of just one single entity. It's a collective responsibility. Even you and I, it's a collective responsibility. The police must ensure that every crime reported is investigated, and where they feel there's a prima facie case, they should make a charge. And then when the charge is laid, the prosecutor, whether the police or from the Ministry of Justice, must ensure diligent prosecution all the way till they get justice. The judge also faced with such a case must ensure that justice is done.
I'm just wondering because in 2000, the FATF, Financial Action Task Force, an international organization, agency, set up to prevent money laundering and terrorism financing, they published what they call the blacklist. And this blacklist contained 4 countries who were member countries, but they were non-cooperative in the tenets of FATF. And so many thought that, look, if FATF could do that, publishing those names of those countries and territories who they feel were non-cooperative, why can't we do the same?
It's part of what I'm just complaining to you about. On that issue you mentioned, remember that some Nigerians during the last administration took in cash large sums of money to South Africa, right? They flew through they flew out of our own airspace. But we did not apprehend them. We did not, nobody checked them, or if they were checked, the concerned authorities looked the other way. Now they were apprehended in South Africa. The money was seized. It became common knowledge. But why then did the concerned authorities in Nigeria not go ahead to prosecute those people? Because obviously a crime has been committed. So that's what we see. That's what you get. We look the other way. Either the authorities concerned are directed to ignore or overlook that breach of the law, or they themselves do not have the willpower to do it. So that's it.
But for those who argue that if the government publishes these names and put a caveat, government would have at least evaded the landmine of that legal implication, because they also cite again this FAT of publishing countries who refuse to cooperate and put them on that blacklist and publish their names. So they're thinking, if FATF can publish people's names, why can't Nigeria publish people's names?
That's a different thing, because in that instance, you're talking about countries who are not cooperating, right? But in this instance, you're talking about publishing names that will amount to almost a conviction of the people concerned. So those are two different things.
But if they publish your name as non-cooperative, wouldn't other countries think that, well, in some way, does this mean this country is aiding and abetting this?
International law is a different ballgame compared to your domestic laws. You know, it's not a conviction when they publish your name that you're not cooperating. It's not. It's to put pressure on you to ensure that you cooperate. But where you're going to publish a name, the implication of which is that you are pronouncing the man or the woman guilty of the crime alleged against him, then I think it is wise to hold on to that publication until you secure convictions in court.
But we know that sometimes these convictions could take like forever. So it means that however long it takes, we just have to keep waiting for that.
I mean, it's the process that we're in. We need to improve it, but I don't think the way to improve it is by breaching the law itself. Yes, it takes an unduly length of time, but these problems are being addressed in terms of the new Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which now says trials are to go on from day to day, which also says that there can be no more stay of proceedings if you want to appeal. So they're being addressed. But I don't think the way to improve that system, to make it go faster, is by breaching the law in itself again.
Does it forbid plea bargain, for instance?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't forbid plea bargain. In fact, there's a section there that deals with plea bargain.
But how come people have the impression this government thinks that no plea bargain, you have to just refund the money or not, still face the music?
Plea bargain, it takes two to tango. So it's the accused or the defendant making an offer to say, look, in exchange for a lighter sentence, I'm going to yield up my loot. I'm going to tell you the other people involved in this. But if the prosecution says, no, we're not interested, then you face the music. So it takes two. So they have a choice in saying that we don't want to do this deal. We want to make sure that the maximum sentence is imposed on you because what you have done is really, really heinous. And then again, we want to set an example. So it's legitimate for the prosecution or the state to say, we're not interested in your plea bargain offer.
If you're going to, sorry about the plea bargaining thing, but let me just go back again about the naming of looters and alleged looters per se. In the course of trying some people in court right now, names of senior military officers have been named.
Yeah.
They collected monies and all of that.
Yeah.
Some of them are not yet in court. The Abacha family, what's going on? They were named as looters, but should that have happened? I mean, are you saying that, okay, that was yesterday, but this is today, and going forward, we shouldn't do this again?
In the past, people have been named, but it doesn't make it, like I said, it doesn't make it legal. It doesn't make it proper. Going forward, the proper example to set is to act according to law. So if you receive legal advice, and the legal advice says there are impediments in your way of carrying out this act, you will be well advised to abide by the legal advice. Otherwise, then why do we have laws in place in the first place? If you can choose at your whim and caprice to ignore them.
All right, Mr. Moyosore Onigbanjo is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you for coming on this morning. Well, we'll be back in a minute. We're still focusing on this, though. Join us again.